Oh. All right, folks, we are back. We will see what happens, because as you know, the last time we had a class in this particular classroom, this was deemed the no-no zone. Okay, no-no zone. So here we are in the no-no, in the no-no zone. Wow. But we're going to try to, do what we got to do anyway, because we got to do it. We got to do it, folks. I mean, right? We're just going to fill the room with the good energy. Plead my cause against an ungodly nation, for we of Gen Z are the pillars of creation. That's right, folks. That's right. We are the new screenwriters of the next generation. It's incredibly important that we get the space to be born. Okay? This is how we're going to do it, folks. This is how we're going to make Hollywood great again. Sincerely, there must be room for us Gen Zers that are a little on a different path. Okay? We're a little more sparkly, right? Pop, pop, pop. So, let's just jump right in. Thank you all for making it to class today. I know it was a little intimidating because yes, this was the no-no, the forbidden class. So we have a tug of war with the owner of this classroom. Mind you, I haven't seen them today. I don't think they're going to be bothering us today. But if they do, that's okay. We'll relocate. I'll teach this class outside if I have to. There's nothing stopping Graham Smith. Because at Smitty Cycle Films, we stop at nothing for the love of art. To hell with the rules. We'll go into the unknown. So, folks, in our last class, we went over veracity. Okay? We went over veracity, scenes 12 through 13, I believe. Yeah, scenes 12 through 13. So if you weren't here for the morning class, that's okay. You're here for the evening class. So for the evening class, we're going to go over some more of the screenwriting theory. Okay. Earlier this morning as well, we went over something I like to call the subconscious language of cinema, which was one of my lesson plans. Now, if you're interested in that, you can go back and view it on your own time. And it really coincides with what we're going to be teaching today. So you might want to go take a look at it, or not, who cares? It's, you learn at your own pace. You learn at your own pace. Okay. So, it's just a hell of a thing, really sticking your neck out to teach and to reproof out of passion. Out of love. Okay? I do this out of love. I love you guys. I believe in you. I believe in each and every one of you. The fact that you're taking this course with me shows already that all of you, stick out from the crowd. You are going to be the people. You are the people. Excuse me. You are the people who changed the world. Amen. Amen. Okay. So today's class, we're going to go over the feeling of time in cinema. Oh, the feeling of time in cinema. Okay. So, where's the? This classroom sucks anyway. I don't know why there's such a fight to keep it. It's not a very good class. You got a chalkboard, and there's none of the futuristic stuff. None of the modern stuff. but it's okay. We're going to make it work. So, the subconscious language of the cinema was all about the cues, the mentality of your scenes. Now, I'm going a different direction for today's class. I may have already said that, forgive me, but we're going in more to what we call the feeling of time. The feeling of time. Time is this linear thing. It just goes on and on and on and on. But we're going to look at the feeling of it and how it applies in cinema, right? So let's just, let's look at it, right? Here's the time in cinema. Woo, there we go. Okay, there's our clock. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? And we got our 1 clock here is at 8, and this one's at, 3. But there's our clock, right? There's our time. Time's up. Get out of my classroom, right? We're waiting for it. I keep looking over here. Who knows? But nevertheless, folks, it's okay. So here's our time. Okay, I put a little clock on the chalkboard for you to visualize what time is, right? Time is a linear thing. Ain't nothing stop. Ain't nothing slow down. Ain't nothing go back, right? Time just keeps going forever. So let's look at why some films, when it comes to time, why some films feel eternal. Why do certain films out there that maybe you've watched or that you're going to watch, or maybe that you write, whatever, there's films out there that feel eternal, okay? And there's other films that feel disposable, right? Just flat tire, right? Flat tire, flat line. You got a film that feels like it goes on forever, and then you got your flat line, dying in the hospital type films. They're disposable. They just go bye-bye. You throw them away, okay? The whole point of this is the feeling of time in cinema should always, it's always about memory, right? And it's tied up to the brain. We've talked about this stuff. We talked about this stuff before, but it's about the memory, right? The memory, the perception, the pacing of a scene, the temporality, right? Temporality, the temporality of it all, showing that life is very thimble. It's very thimble. It's very thin. It can go bye-bye really fast, okay? It's temporary. Okay, then we got our emotional duration. Okay, emotional duration is very important and is considered, an essential part of time, I would say. And let's look at the existential. It creates existential cinema using time as a weapon, right? And that becomes incredibly interactive with our audience because our audience understands that time they understand time emotionally, right? We went over the science lesson before. It's the brain. The brain shows us that we react to time emotionally. So let's jump right into this. We got our clock, okay? This is it, folks. Cinema does not. Cinema does not record time. Oh. Make that real capital. Okay? Cinema does not cinema does not record time. Cinema does not record time, folks. No. Let's look at the whole thing, okay? What it does, actually, it doesn't record time, it recreates the sensation of time. Okay? Why does a 3-minute scene in any given film that pick a film you love, why does a 3-minute scene from it feel enormous? Right? Why can a 2-hour film feel like it goes really fast? You know, why is that? Why is that? While a 10-second film feels like it can last forever. Feels like almost like it's unlimited. You know, and I mean, let's look at it. Why do memories in life behave the same way? It's because film editing is not merely chronologically involved. It's not merely chronology. Okay? Granola. It's not purely chronology though, right? It's not, you know. Editing is very much a way of manipulating a scene to convey emotional duration. Okay, that's number one. We want to really capture the realism of an emotional duration. You know, I mean, think of a good memory that you have, right? It sticks with you forever. So we want to capture that, and we can capture that. We can, really, it's almost like we can edit time through good editing. That's pretty cool, through video editing. So we want to capture psychological weight, okay? The weight of psychology when it comes to, you know, how people are perceiving the scene, which really wraps into the whole memory perception, right? And ultimately, all these things lead to the consciousness itself. So let's look at an emotional time versus our clock time. Tick tock, you know. Remember, I'm always telling you guys to get off the tick-tock? Well, hold on. We're going to do tick-tock together here. But let's get rid of this. Okay, so remember our clock, right? We got our tick-tock, tick-tock. Tick-tock goes the clock. Okay, humans, let's just write this down for you. Whew. Squeaky. Humans, okay? Humans do not experience okay? Humans do not experience Anybody guess? Okay, that's okay. I was waiting for you, sorry. I was waiting for you, but look, here we go. What I'm getting at is humans do not experience time objectively. Oh. Okay? We do not experience time objectively. We don't. It's just not how humans are created. Okay? Look at grief, for example. Right? Grief can last forever, it feels like. Fear, being scared, right? That can feel like it lasts forever. There can be multiple seasons in your life where you feel fear, where you feel embarrassment, where you feel loneliness. All these things can feel a lot longer than a normal minute, okay? They typically last a lot longer than 60 seconds, folks. Meanwhile, you've got your joy, you've got your excitement, your stimulation, right? Your love, yeah. These things, they compress time psychologically. And so cinema can very much imitate this, right? Cinema can imitate these emotions and the time duration behind what makes them real to us, okay? Let's go back to the board. Up, up, up. See if we can erase like this. I tell you, this board sucks. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess the next class will be getting what we're leaving behind here. Oh, but yeah, let's jump into this. So we got our clock time, right? Clock time, clock time. And our clock time is measured. Okay? Boop. Our clock time is very much measured. And we measure it by emotional time. Emotional time. Okay? It's measured by emotional time, which is very much experienced by the audience, by the viewer of the film. Okay? So our time is measured by emotional time, and that is very much is how human beings experience it, right? You know, think of it. A filmmaker, a good filmmaker that is, can stretch, which all of you are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. But a good filmmaker like you guys can, what you can do is you can stretch things, right? Okay, you can stretch silence. You can stretch waiting, right? Conveying patience. You can stretch tension, right? You can stretch tension in any scene, any given scene. You can stretch, excitement, anticipation. You can stretch anticipation, okay? And all these things, you can. Well, it'll create that emotional duration. And that's why, a character waiting for a phone call can feel more intense and, really heavy hitting, even more than an explosion sequence could, right? You gotta understand, folks, emotional time, emotional time, it behaves like gravity around the human nervous system. I just came up with that, so bear with me. Let me say that again, make sure that makes sense. Emotional time behaves like gravity around the human nervous system. Okay? Or certain scenes bend time the way massive planets bend light. Okay? That's how it works. That is how it works. Time is very, very important. Very, very important. And there's a lot, as I showed you, there's many, many ways you can use emotional time to, as a tool to allow your audience to experience. Because they're experiencing the film itself. So you ought to write it like they're experiencing it. Let me check my Zooms. We got our Zoomers today. Oh yeah. Our lovely Zoomers here for the second class. Great job. It's good. I'm glad that they're here, Without my Zoom class, I would be at a loss, folks. Our Zoomers are, shout out to the Zoomers, our Gen Z warriors, okay? Gen Z warriors on Zoom are really zooming up. They're really going to be important in life because they showed up to class, folks. They showed up to class. Let's see if we can use this. There we go. That works a little better. Oh my goodness. Okay. Kind of making a mess of the chalkboard here. Hopefully we'll be all right, folks. I'm not sure how much more time we have either, so I'm going to try to rush this as fast as I can. Okay. Okay, so let's look at why stillness feels powerful, right? Let's look at why stillness feels powerful. Well, stillness, well, what does it do? Well, stillness magnifies awareness, okay? Stillness magnifies awareness, okay? Because that's always what we want to do, is we want to magnify the awareness of our audience, okay? Think about constant movement, you know, in these modern media conditions, especially, you know, in today's climate. You know, the conditions for the audience are usually that of which constant movement, stimulation, noise, and information. So when a filmmaker introduces silence or slowness or stillness, the audience suddenly becomes hyper-aware, and really they begin noticing. They begin noticing the really important stuff, right? They begin noticing breathing. They begin noticing environmental sounds. They begin noticing body language. Okay? They begin noticing emotional tension. Stillness forces consciousness inward. Let's say that again. Bup, 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 bup. Stillness forces consciousness inward. You gotta introspect if you're gonna watch art films. You don't have a choice. Boy, and you'll feel so much better when you just finish it. So, let's look at this. Why can watching someone silently stare out a window, for example, feel emotionally heavy? Okay? Well, it's because the audience begins emotionally investing themselves, right? Filling that emptiness themselves. And it's because the stillness creates the projection space. Okay? And, you know, like a quiet scene is like snow falling onto a battlefield after the war has ended. Stillness in cinema is very much the sound that the audience is hearing themselves think. Okay? Stillness is very, very powerful, especially after a buttload of scenes that are super stimulating. The next part of this is the memory logic. Okay, let's look at memory. Memory logic. I'm going to erase this, and then I got to check our zooms. I might just have to close it early and open it up again, because I think it's coming up on our time. So, bop, bop, bop. We're going to try to get through this lesson, folks, before Grumpy Pants comes back, kicks us out.